All right, I think I should be good if I hang in this area. Hopefully I'll be on the camera the entire time. All right, starting off with beginner rotation 2. Everyone give me a right side guard. The first technique you guys have is a flip kick on a flip. By the way, I want feedback today. If there are any bullet points that you think we might ought to add, give me ideas on. I have the main bullet points, but any bullet points you think we ought to add, I don't want to spend too much time on these because that can rack up a lot. With your right side guard up though, a flip kick, you're gonna take your forward leg, you're gonna point the knee, extend, hitting with the shoelaces. Refold, land back in your guard. The 3 bullet points on this, number 1 is that your knee needs to come up off the side of your hip. It's beside your body. So knee comes beside your body before you extend the flip kick and rechamber. Secondly, what part of the foot do you hit with?
Shoelaces.
Shoelaces. The third part, I wanna make sure on this one, especially we're working on pivoting the ball on the ball of the foot, because this starts setting you up for a spin kick. So when you pivot, I know a lot of people pivot on the heel, but the correct way to pivot on these is the ball, because it's as a psychic, is to set you up so that you are you have more control, more balance if you pivot on the ball of your foot. Be careful pivoting on the ball with spins because of cracks in the mats. You don't want to break a toe. Those are the 3 for flip kick. Angle. Use it for an angle. If we're doing an angle flip kick, which leg is going to step? My forward leg or my rear leg does a step for an angle?
Angle forward.
Angle goes forward. That's right. Back leg steps forward. Those are the 2 bullet points for that. So you use your rear leg and you step forward for an angle. The next thing, roundhouse kick. Knee needs to come up like what kind of kick? It looks like a front kick to start. So if I go with the left side guard start. So if we're here, it looks like you're throwing a front kick. Knee up like a front kick. Everything says front kick until you kick them in the face and they say it was a roundhouse kick.
One bullet point on this one, sir, real quick, for adults who don't want to like break their knee. One thing we were talking about once is when they do this, have them pivot their foot all the way around while they when they pick their foot up, so they don't have to completely go around.
Pivot.
You mean they just try your post knee?
What? Yeah, they don't like, yeah. So I don't kill my knee.
Yeah, the one you're posting up on.
Yeah, your post knee. Thank you, sir. So you don't have to. So you're not pivoting from here. You can just put your foot over here.
You're saying start from here.
Well, when you're here, when you come up, so no, start from here. Well, yeah, come here.
Start at a 45.
Then come here and then throw it.
I gotcha.
Move your foot
Pivot.
before, like give you a little bit of a cheat move, cheat step.
For us old people.
Yes.
4. Got it. All right, cool. So
Well,
the number next. The
I
cut.
wrote down.
What's that?
That's just a double happening.
That's right.
That's why.
The cut. If I'm throwing a cut roundhouse kick, which leg is in the step?
Front.
That's correct. And which way does it go?
The side.
Backwards.
Back.
You guys got it. Okay, good. The first ones are easy on this. Back fist. Make sure you your elbow does what while the hand's extending? It points. Just make sure you point the elbow where you're going. The second thing, you hit with what part of the hand?
Back.
Back of the hand. Third bullet point on it is your knuckles should be. What's that?
Bring it back fast.
Well, the knuckles should be at what? Yes, vertical is the right one. You hit with the back of your hand. Most people end up throwing a hammer fist, which is a good move. I would prefer to hit somebody with a hammer fist, but for a back fist, it's the back of the fist. Number next, reverse punch. Reverse punch comes off the which hand? Forward or rear?
Rear.
Rear hand. When you throw your punch, you should be at what degrees?
45.
5, and your power comes from
The
where?
The hips.
The hips and pushing off of the
Back.
foot. So when you push, it's a jump off of that back foot. The hips rotating indicates that you are using your body weight correctly, but really you want to jump off that foot. So push off the foot. The next thing, orange stripes for this one. You have horse stance. Feet should be what times the width of your shoulders?
1.5.
Correct. 1.5 to 2. Anywhere from 1.5 to 2, depending on the person. But you want to be there. Second thing
Do
is,
you want them on their mat though? If we're trying to keep them on their square, we just tell them to get to the
I would, if you're in a full horse stance, I would have them stagger a little bit. For adults, kids are fine on the front couple rows. Back rows usually thins out by the time we get to the adults, so they usually have enough room. But just stagger the adults on it so they can be as wide as they can. But you want to be, about 1.5 to 2 times your shoulder width. The second one is your feet should be facing which direction?
Front.
Forward.
That's right. And then the last thing, this one
feet don't
is, yeah, as best you can. Yeah, you have to fight it. The last thing is your knees should point up. It makes a difference as far as damaging the knees for us adults anyways. You guys
What
are
about
fine
feet
for the next
What do you
20
mean by
years.
pointing up?
You don't point it down like this.
Oh,
I mean, correct. You don't want your knees bow in at all. You want your knees pointing up as high as you can because straight up is better on the knees. If they
Is it
bow in,
valid, correct?
what's that?
Valid.
exposed, you mean?
Yeah.
To the, you want, so you, wherever my feet are, I'm gonna try to get my knees as close to over my feet as I can. That makes sense? I'm gonna
Like
try to
Mr. Wood, you
lift my
say, you're
knees.
riding the world's shortest fast ponies. Everyone ridden a
Yes,
horse?
so knees have to be wide and out.
You're like this. You're literally sitting like this.
Yes, correct. The next one, when you do a block, what part of the arm do we block with?
Forearm.
That's right, the outside of the forearm right there. So you want to hit with the outside, bam, as you do your block. That goes for all of the blocks. This is one I want to start adding in as a concept to think about. Your hand shouldn't be really more than 3 inches from your frame, if that makes sense. So if you're looking at me here, if this is my head, my high block should not be anywhere more than 3 inches. It should only be about 1 inch above, if that makes sense. So same thing to the side, punch comes in, I can't block out here, I don't want to. I want to block close, because the closer they are, the more leverage I'm going to have on our takedowns. So I put down your hand is no more than 3 inches from the frame of your body, if that makes sense. Ideally, we're shooting for 1 and 2, but teach no more than 3 inches than your strike point. The last thing on star block, you should pivot on a couple places. So if we're here, if our hands are up and we're doing our star block, I keep forgetting I need to stay in camera. If we're here and we're doing star block on the outside, if I was here, no matter where I am, there's no point in me turning like this on my outside because I lose the setup of my reverse punch. The only one I'm going to turn on, I'll do an inside block. I would pivot on an inside block. So if I went outside, inside on the low block, I don't really need to pivot unless it's turning away. And then make sure I give you the right things on this. Reverse punch, star block, high block, push down. So the high block I would never pivot on no matter what position I'm in. If I'm here, I'm not gonna pivot. If I'm here, I'm gonna stay right where I am on either of these blocks. I'm not gonna pivot on the push down. The only two that I would potentially pivot on, inside for sure. I always wanna pivot on inside because that does what for me?
Moves.
It moves me and it sets me up for
Back fist.
my rear hand and forehand as well, back fist, but my rear hand has more power because I can wind back into them. The only other one to possibly turn on would be the low block, and that would just be to set you up. So if I was here, I might turn on my low block just to get my body out of the way and set me up. So the only two you need to block on would be inside blocks and low blocks.
One other thing about star form, sir.
Yes.
I've been having people with chamber the other hand.
What's that?
Chamber the other hand.
Oh, I like that.
And also, whenever I do star block, I notice I cross every time I do. Like when I do it outside, inside not so much, but like when I do outside, when I do low, I will cross. I will do the cross. I'll go outside, cross, or inside, low, high.
Correct. Yeah. So what are the this is not part of the test, but it ought to be in there as well. What are the fold differences? So if we're doing a high block, if I'm here, I'm doing a high block. How would I fold my hands if I'm doing a right hand high block? So there's two ways to
Right
fold.
hand down.
One is X. Second is the full on fold. So if you're doing the full fold, it goes down, other hand comes up, and then from there I jerk this hand back, other hand drives up for the block. The other version is the X block. Now there's two ways you can do that. One is to do with your striking hand on top, and one is to do your striking hand underneath. So if the striking hand on top, what is that version of martial art? Do you know? Have you guys heard this? What's that?
Traditional.
Aikido. So let's say we're doing an outside block. Aikido teaches the striking hand on top because it's not striking, it's just redirecting. Karate teaches the striking hand underneath because you have to jerk this hand out of the way, which creates more momentum or more force off of your shoulder blades. So if we're doing an outside block, this is more of a karate. I'm gonna hit you with this block. This is more of an Aikido. I'm gonna do a smooth transition into a throw. But if you're doing
I'm sorry, Jared.
go ahead.
I was gonna say if we're using the star block to sort of build up to our self-defenses, most of our self-defenses are blocking it out. Also,
Correct.
if I do
We're more
this-
karate as far as blocks.
Well,
Yes.
This part, if I go on this hand on top, even if I don't get all the way out, I can still block.
Correct. Now the karate concept though is just you have more torque by jerking that hand back to the side. The last thing was on those folds. So if we're doing the different folds, let's say we do outside. Outside, this hand's gonna come across, this hand goes here, and you pull to your outside block. The inside block, it's not the same. The inside block though, I let this hand float. I saw you do this a second ago. You let this hand float and then you can jerk it back in so you have more torque, not only from pivoting the body, but from this hand coming back. On the low block, the full fold would be to go here, so it's farthest from the strike point, and then drive the low block. And again, if you notice, I'm almost an inch off of my center line, or my frame, if you will. On the high block, the full would be here, because that sets me up to here. And then the last one, the push down, I will usually use this hand for a little cranking motion where I'll float it and then jerk it back for the strike. But I don't want to float it more than a couple inches. Just a little bit's all you need as far as getting drive on it.
Which way do you want them taught? You want them taught
Beginner
FTO
class,
way?
I like doing the X block because it is a lot to teach from the other version. But if you have some rock stars, Marcel is awesome. Like when he comes in, he picks up. I mean, we have a handful of kids like that. If you have the rock stars, then you can say, hey, listen, let me show you a bonus on what you can do here. Beginner class, they'll just teach the X's. But when they're in advanced class, I like to try to advance. I'm like, listen, beginner's doing this, like this, but I want you guys to start learning this correct fold so they can do the full on. Both are right, but the other one gives you more torque because you have time to generate more momentum by the time you hit. Make sense? Okay, next, we have break falls. So there are 4 levels to teaching this forward break fall for beginner class, this rotation. There are 4 levels to break falls. Break fall number 1 is to do it from the knees here, and if they're falling forward, they would bend at the hips when they break fall, which means you're like a push-up done incorrectly. Doing this, you can practice the break fall without any risk of actually hitting the floor. You don't even have to hit with your hands, but it lets them hit without actually doing any damage to themselves. Second level to break falls is to do it where they keep just their hips straight. So same break fall, but you fall forward and you slap that way, so you're practicing just a little bump. What's the third level? What's the next more challenging?
Standing
I
up.
would say, is it standing
Just before standing, there's one way to get halfway between.
in that crouch?
Crouch.
Horse stance or split. You do a split first. So a split position lets them, the crouch will work, but they'll be too bent to their hips and they'll overcompensate. But if they're in a split position for number 3, it lets them do, it's not quite as scary, because going from knees to this is terrifying.
Yeah,
It's scary to stand and fall. So to have them go to here for their break falls next makes it so it's a little bit less emotionally traumatizing as far as going to the full-on break fall. But then at that point, if they feel good with it, they can go from this to this to this to this. I mean, they can individually bump it up based on their comfort level. And then the 4th level, the final one, is to do it standing and fall in. They're not required to do standing break falls. However, I want them to know that they could. Okay. So again, there are four areas. The 2 things you're going to be tested on, I have it listed as 4 areas for break falls. You have bending of the hips, straight hips, split, and standing. You just need to remember bending at the hips and straight hips as far as those first 2 levels. Because the split and standing is more optional. The next level you guys have, or the next question for that is, how does it hit? When you fall and you hit the ground for a break fall.
You smack right here.
What's that?
You smack against the roof.
Yes, but timing-wise, does the whole arm hit at the same time as your body,
No.
or what?
Your arms hit first, then your body.
Yes, and there's a split between, it should be a half-second split between this, then this, then this. It feels almost the same time, but it's a quarter, half a second of hand, elbow, body, and that helps disperse the shock across the board. It just makes it easier on the body. Okay, green, we're almost done with rotation 2. Green strikes for rotation 2, push trap, push parry, and single arm wrap. Push trap, you guys know all these at this
Play
point. but-
pancake.
Exactly, play pancake here, bow, come up in knee. Push parry is to step to the outside and block, catch, pull into the arm bar, and then single arm wrap is just to go wrap and
Early
trap,
stars.
and then punch, exactly. Now with those 3, the bullet points I have as far as the testing points, number 1, push trap. You should trap the hand, so it's an A-B question. You should trap the hand either the same time as you step back or before stepping back, which is it, you know? Do you trap first and then step, or do you trap while you're stepping?
You while you're back.
While you're stepping, lets you catch them off balance. So if they're coming in with a push, so when they go to push me, I'm trying to grab them and pull them so that they're going for the wall, but the wall moves to there, so it pulls them just a little bit past their balance point. So when they go to push, if you can time the trap where you pull them in, right as they're touching you, boom, you step back, only a couple inches. It'll get them off balance and make them fall. The second thing, push trap. Well, I already explained you pull. It's an A-B question again, whether when you trap the hand, whether you try to pull them or try to push into them. It's pull them. You want to pull them off balance. You bounce towards them, yes, but you pull them first so they're losing balance as you bounce. The second one, push parry. It is, if I push with my right hand, are you going to do your parry to put me in an arm bar with your right hand or your left hand? You use the same side or opposite side on this?
Opposite.
Correct, it's a cross one. So if I go like this,
What should we do?
messing with my wording. It would work, but not as an arm bar if you did the other side. You could do the block with either hand, but for this one, it should be the same side. Now, I realized that I did this late. I wrote opposite and same side differently. Just do the one that says, when you look at this, do the one that says right hand to right hand. That's what you get. The other thing is, when blocking, which catches them first, your hand or your forearm, when you go for the block on this, do you know?
Forearms,
Yes, because you can find them faster. If a push comes in and you try to catch it in midair, unless your name is Bruce Lee, it is very likely you're not gonna get a full-on punch or push. And so bumping first, touching first lets you get to that grab up a lot faster because you can feel your way to where you're going. The last thing, single arm wrap. The questions on this one, we have, which way do you circle your arm? Do you go in front of your body or to the outside first? In front, you cross your center line, that's right. The second question is,
It's the same side, right?
what's that?
It's the same side.
Yeah.
Correct, exactly, yes, sir. The second question is, how do you open up their ribs? If you were gonna punch, if you go for their belly stars and you trap them, how would you open their rib cage? You have an easier shot.
You pull back a little.
Pull, but you lift. If you trap their elbow correctly and you crank up on their elbow and lift their elbow, it will cause their arm to go like this and it will open the rib cage for you, which gives you the shot. I pull back, but that's because I want to set up a harder reverse punch. I step back with the opposite side. So if they grab, Jaden, grab me on the shoulder. If Jaden grabs me like this, that doesn't work for this one. Go same side. So if he grabs same side here, I'd go like, it would work on that, but you can't open the rib cage with that direction. This hand would come around. When I trap here, I will turn this way and lift up a little bit, which opens the rib cage and it sets me up for a stronger reverse punch to the body. So, the next thing, how do you break somebody's ribs with this punch? What breaks the ribs? Do you guys know?
Horizontal.
What's that?
Horizontal.
It's uppercut, isn't it?
It's not the type of punch. It's what you do with the punch.
Is it push through and then there's a
Push
turn at
up,
the end?
isn't it?
It's the recoil.
Oh.
CPR breaks ribs. When you do CPR, it breaks people. They say if you do it right, you usually break ribs.
Yeah.
But it's not the compression that breaks the rib. It's when you let go of the rib. It's like a piece of a paper clip where you bend it one way it works. You come back and it snaps. Well, the rib can compress fast enough, but it can't decompress fast enough. So you hit hard about 2 inches in, and you get into them, and you put a pop into that pull back. That can cause the ribs to crack as you're coming back out. Not that we need to break ribs right now, but just so you understand, I do want you to know that. That is
You
it
don't need
for
to,
that is it for rotation 2. Now I know you guys know all these. We went through the basics on those. Push trap, push parry, single arm. You guys are good on those. So let's do this. Let's break it section by section. I'm done with rotation 2. So let me give you guys the test sheet real quick. Just roll through it, and then we'll go to the next one. Let me grab test sheets. Where are they?
It's also means that uppercut.
You don't need any more injuries.
See?
I think that's
I wanna be in it.
I'm going back